Moment.
Gavel, huh? Gavel.
Okay, and we're good to go.
Okay, good. Thank you, guys. We're here tonight. It's November 6th. It's the regular Town of Poolesville Commissioners meeting. In attendance are Martin, Sarah, Ed, myself, Town Manager, Assistant Town Manager, Town Engineer. Everybody's here except for Jeff, who's over in Brussels somewhere. So thanks for everybody for coming. This is our first night with our new system that we're operating. So hopefully you can hear us very clearly. I'm paying very close attention to all my facial expressions tonight because I understand there might be a camera that goes right to my face. So, and makeup, anybody? Okay, makeup. Anyway, so we're here tonight, and again, everybody's here except for Jeff, so we're going to call the meeting to order. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. I'd like to lead everybody in the Pledge of Allegiance, if I could. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, gang, way to go. How are we doing out there? Are you watching us on YouTube, or are you trying to, there, see, look at that. I knew you had it. Oh, perfect. Okay, that's good to hear. Wow, new system. How many years has it been? Holy smokes. I mean, several of us have come and gone and come back again since then. Okay, good. Well, we're here tonight, guys, and thanks again for everybody for being here. We'll start off with our commissioner announcements, committee reports. I'm going to go last today. So, Martin, are you up for being next up, or did you want me to go?
No, I can be next up.
Okay, thank you.
So the Planning Commission meets again a week from Wednesday, and there's not tons to talk about, but there's also everything to talk about. So we've all gone through and done our revisions, proofreading of the draft master plan, comprehensive plan, excuse me. And there was an awful lot of feedback, and I don't envy Niles' position because he had to take 5 different people who all spent hours and hours on it and I know I made upwards of 75 changes, just me, and I think Lexi probably doubled me because she's very, very thorough. But anyway, that should be ready for consumption here pretty soon, if not probably the December meeting, you think?
I think depending on
we're hoping to get a push to get an approval to send it out for the 60-day review.
Yeah, and at the very least, you all should give a shout out to the other 4 planning commission members because this was a lot of work. I mean, just the meetings and stuff were a lot of work, and the proofreading the chapters as we went was a lot of work. But I know Amanda Likeleader spent 6 hours proofing this. I mean, so it was a beast. So they definitely deserve a big shout out and our thanks.
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. Well, we're looking forward to seeing it. And I think I've said in public a few times that between the comprehensive plan and also our draft white paper that the Fair Access Committee's put together, we've really got a good template. One is obviously binding and the other one's advisory, but we've really got a good template together to unlike we ever have had before, I think, to push the town forward in a way that makes sense for all of our residents. So that is very exciting.
It'll definitely be more, I suspect more compliant, like on a state level, because I mean, this is a group, a consultant that has worked, with a whole bunch of other municipalities and towns and stuff like that. So I mean, it's going to check all the boxes. I think it's going to be a little more thorough than the previous, but nothing against the previous one. It was good too. As far as announcements, most of us were at the Poolesville Day thank you thing. I did volunteered for HMD for one of the ghost tours, which was they're always fun because so many people are here from out of town, which is a nice thing to see. Yeah. So that's all I've got.
Good. That was a good time, and kudos to our Poolesville Day Committee for doing a great job and making some bold decisions in the rain to proceed onward. So that was awesome. Very proud of them, and I really feel like also in our wrap-up meeting that we had, whoever was there, we kind of we got a lot of talking points for next time, and also it's going to make us better prepared. So that was awesome and good stuff, and they deserve all the congrats they can get on our biggest day.
And one more thing, Wade and I were on a phone call today with the folks from MDE about the water situation, but I'll let him go into that in his report.
Good.
Spoiler alert, there was no huge revelation, so.
Love a good spoiler report that's like that. So, yeah, when Wade will get to that as part of, I guess, part of our water supply report? Okay, very good. Thanks, Wade and Niles. Good. Sarah?
Okay. Not a long report. We last week had our Western County Economic Forum at Crossvines. That was kind of the big thing that's happened. It was very well attended. A lot of county representatives. Delegate Chi was the person who organized it all. She was leading it. Senator Feldman facilitated one of the panels. So very well attended. It was talking, I wasn't here 20 years ago, no, 10 years ago, 2012, I think was when everyone was saying that there was a similar type forum that
Right.
happened.
Yes.
But 2 points that continued to kind of be at the top of everyone's mind was tourism, our unique version of tourism out here, and business. But then transportation, having a safe, effective way of getting people out to the western part of the county. So those were kind of the 2 main points. There's lots of write-ups about it. Local media covered it. They did a great job. And I know you can also watch recordings of it on YouTube as well. And then we'll kind of debrief that at our Fair Access meeting, which is this Thursday night at 6 p.m. So if you want to learn more, we'll be kind of unpacking that and talking about next steps. The only thing coming up is in the immediate future is we have our sort of Christmas end of the year holiday gathering in December, where all of these representatives will also be present. That's it.
Very good. Make a note, that's my birthday, by the way.
Really?
That's
I mean, what a celebration!
Paddle.
I mean, you
All gathered for
you
you.
only turn 55 once.
Big 7.
So, the big 7, right when I was saying it. Actually, we hit right in the middle between the two of them, so that was good. Okay, very good. Thank you for that, Sarah. Ed, what do you have for us?
Sure. Just to add on with the fair access piece, Link and I, we had a phone call with representatives from CVS, the corporate piece, and after when they moved the pharmacists to go over to Germantown for a few hours, of course, it set off some alarms and saying, hey, how can we didn't know, and then what can be done so that doesn't happen again. So I believe we had a very productive meeting. We were able to build some relationships. We were able to come up with a game plan. If there's something where they have to pull a pharmacist, then there will be a call that would go either to our town manager, to our assistant town manager, and then I think I got Jim and my cell phone as just backups to you guys, and then we could activate that alert. But the person who works with the different government side of CVS in Maryland is out in Mount Airy and has a really good understanding of Poolesville. And so they understand the importance of not pulling someone from here and how that can impact our community and the surrounding community. But all in all, I think it was very productive. It looks like we're going to be building a partnership where the local manager of the pharmacies asked what could they do to kind of help to the community, whether it's flu shots or things like that. So we're working on putting them in contact with WAMCO. So it's a good thing, and then we want to add them to our VIP breakfast for the next Poolesville Day. So that's just adding on to the fair access. In terms of sustainability, Poolesville, a lot of conversation took place in the last meeting about revisiting the issue around the pesticide. And so I asked them just to stand by, so when that's on the meeting to listen. So I'm sure there's concern, but the best thing to do, what I shared, is just come listen. Everyone gets an opportunity to share their position, whether they're for it or whether they're against it. But what we will do is just listen. And so I share with them, no decisions have been made beyond what was made at the last time we made a decision on it. So there is that piece. And then there's the campaign of the Pick It Up Poolesville and looking at how to get more people involved. And so they're sharing different ideas of how we can help promote that. And that might be a little bit more advertising for those who are interested to sign up.
I'll do another email this week. So
Okay.
if you have stuff coming up for picking up Poolesville, you
I'll relay that. I know the person who's in charge of it.
can, I know.
I'll ask her. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay, Ed, thank you so much. So from my report, and thanks to everybody, first of all, we had a closed session on October 16th to discuss a pending legal matter. And that's all we can say about it for right now. But we will be getting back in touch with you when we have more information on it. So wanted to say that right off the bat. Secondly, as you guys know, Bobby, our town clerk, who's been with us for 39 plus years, almost 40, is retiring. And so the front office staff and I and commissioners are working on having a proper going away party for her. That we wanted to put together a big party. And I know you're probably listening, Bobby. We want to put together a big party for you, and you've managed to whittle it down to size. So it'll be appropriate to whatever you're after. But we look forward to celebrating you and talking about you a little bit more. Coming up. Speaking of that, for all the commissioners, for the agenda and the meeting times coming up. So we have another second meeting coming up in November that we will be meeting on, and we will be talking about the pesticide code that we already created.
20th?
Yes, yeah, the 20th. Then we'll have a meeting in the first Monday in December. And then after that, if there's no other pending business, we won't have another meeting for December. So just giving you a heads up. If you have business you want to bring to the commissioners, please go ahead and be prepared to tackle it on the next couple of meetings. And then, of course, we'll be meeting promptly again in January once the new year kicks in. So if anybody has any questions on that or wants to do something different, just hit me up and we'll talk about it. Back to the pharmacy real quick, Ed, and that was a great conversation with CVS, and appreciate you guys tackling it. Obviously, that was a big deal for our residents, some of the residents in particular. And one thing I did want to say is that we did have a pharmacist that lives in Poolesville basically contact us, Link and I, to volunteer her services. I mean, she would get paid, of course, but volunteer her services to come serve as a pinch-hitting pharmacist. So we really don't know what CVS's game plan for that would be, but these are licensed pharmacists, so we're hopeful that if there's some way that that can be helpful. So that came as a direct result of Link's post, which was great. So we got a backup pharmacist that's interested in helping out. The new sound system. So we've had this sound system now since 2007? Is that what it is? Yeah, it's amazing. So here we are, however many years, I don't even want to do the math on that, but it's a long time, 27 years, 26 years, we've had the same crappy sound system. And now, thank you very much, sir, for doing this with us. Staff, thank you for putting it together. I mean, we've joined the modern era. It's amazing. So, and it took a while to get it, but we're here, and I can already tell the sound is so much better than it was. Or maybe it's just my voice. Then on the Western Montgomery Economic Development Summit that we all hosted and we're a part of. Thank you to Link Hoeing, who's sitting in the audience right now. We had he did the majority of the legwork, as he does on everything. It was a tremendous presentation from basically a who's who of economic development in the Western County. So when we say we put it together, we heard from everybody. And the Fair Access Committee and myself and obviously Link, we're putting together a summary that's going to be an action summary that I think Lily, myself, and Link are all going to vet together. And then it'll get distributed to Fair Access, and we're going to start talking about how we can implement some of the things we heard. But you were right. I mean, we have to be very careful with this. It's not all about the tourism, right? It's about the economic development and sustainability and viability of the businesses that are in Poolesville. Right. So we want people to come. We want them to spend their money. Now we kind of want them to spend the night. And then we want, right, and we want to support our business environment here so that the people of Poolesville can have the things that they deserve, partially supported by the people that come from other places to support us. So I'm sure that's going to be the bent of the summary that Link's already crafted and that we're going to be churning through here shortly. I also want to thank Wayne and Niles for zipping me over the code real quick, plus a quick interpretation of our ability to have bed and breakfasts and Airbnb, and which is definitely available through special exception, but not necessarily boarding houses. So I thought that was interesting. So we'll have to kind of talk and look at them. Those are further defined down the code. So it's kind of an interesting read. If you guys get a chance, go look it up. It's something we're going to be talking about as time goes on. again, that having all the people that were in place for the summit was, the whole purpose was to bring together all these people that could give us their opinion of what they feel like it's up here. And I can tell you, and I can tell everybody that's on this board, and the people here already know where I stand on this, there's been a misconception for many, many years of Poolesville really doesn't want this. Poolesville likes staying quiet. Poolesville likes being a drive-through community. And there's plenty to like about that. But at the same time, that didn't help our residents with the things that they come to feel like they deserve from community services, locals, crossfinds, places that make a much better difference in our quality of life here in Poolesville. So bringing all those people together to talk about that and to share and potentially create this new vision, that was the purpose of the summit. So we'll see how that goes over the next weeks and months. Today, Link and I went to a council special hearing on agritourism, and it was actually really interesting for us. We both sat there, a couple times I elbowed him, a couple times he elbowed me, and but we talked about the perception of the Western County and our region. And of course, the farmers have a huge impact on this. They are the reason why that we're here for and why the Ag Reserve exists. But at the same time, that doesn't preclude a town from Poolesville from being successful. And so listening to all the people that had their own opinions, they were a little bit different than what we heard at the summit. It was really farming based, which was good to hear. And it was a good meeting. And we, of course, it always, we appreciate it. There was other groups represented there, but of course Poolesville got a nice shout out from one of the council members for showing up and being here. And also, again, stating our case, pressing the flesh, letting people know what we're about. So good opportunity to go do that today. Wouldn't blame anybody for skipping those in the middle of the day at 9:30 a.m. But it was still a good hearing. So anyway, that's all I have. I know I'm forgetting something, but we'll come back to it. Anybody else want to change their testimony or talk about anything else they missed now that I rambled on? No, I'm taking Jeff's job tonight. Sorry about that. I'm not talking about this, other things. So public comment, we've got 4 people that are signed up here today. I know that it's you 3, it looks like. Yes, and then Jerry over here. And then is there something that's on the agenda that you want to talk about?
Yes, we would like to talk about the pesticide law.
Okay, so you're a little early, but because you're here tonight, if you can keep it to 3 minutes, we'll go ahead and let you guys have some testimony, and maybe you can imprint us, and before we listen to it again in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
we're happy to come again on November 20th.
Yeah.
We wanted to come here as well.
I don't mind you. I don't blame you coming today too, because if it does and it will help you, because we'll probably have a crowd. If you want to go ahead and do it today and give us your opinion, we'll give you 3 minutes each and let you guys have it. And Jerry, are you here for nothing on the agenda, just in general comments? Something else, okay, not revealing it until you get up on the,
Has to do with early morning traffic on Tom Fox Avenue during school.
okay. So before we get to you 3 ladies, it's almost always ladies first, but I'm gonna get Jerry up there and then we'll just come right through you 3 and give us and talk to us a little bit. So you're not second, you're just in a different position, that's all. So Jerry, go ahead, public comment, come on up, introduce yourself, tell us where you live, you know the drill.
Jerry Klebakowski, 17300 Fletchall Road, Poolesville, Maryland. I normally try and walk 2 miles a day, and my route goes down Hughes Road up to the lower Tom Fox, and then up Tom Fox, and then back to Hughes Road. What I've noticed is coming down, some people don't really obey the stop signs, especially when I guess their kids are getting late to school and they're blowing through stop signs, and you will have a line of cars sometimes from Hoskinson, the stop sign at Hoskinson and Tom Fox down to Hillard and Tom Fox, just whatever, and I don't know why people want to go through 2 stop signs when if you go down Hughes Road, you still got 2 speed bumps and only one, but no stop signs. But the amount of traffic, and then you got kids on bicycles riding on the sidewalks along with kids who are walking, so I mentioned this to a police officer I saw sitting over at Poolesville Beer and Wine last week, because some of those people coming down Tom Fox, they're going at a pretty good clip, and down Hughes Road as well. So it's like speed bumps or no speed bumps, it doesn't deter some people. And I think a little bit of traffic enforcement on Tom Fox and also and Hughes Road is merited, along with the fact I forgot to check tonight, but as I recall, there is a sign in the middle school parking lot that says no left turn during certain hours. Forget that. No one obeys it. I mean, a lot of people do, but some don't. So again, you're talking about enforcement of laws, and you're talking about, kids going down, riding bikes, et cetera, et cetera. And that's all I have to say.
So Jerry, a question for you. If you were to place, say, you've sat behind this desk here, what would you say is your place to place a police officer? Because they've been responsive, and if we ask them to do something, there's a good chance they're going to do it.
Well, I think a policeman down by Hillard, with a motorcycle policeman, low profile. And then as you're going down Hughes Road, the stop sign at Hughes Road, people blow through that as well. And so down around that bend, where you're going towards lower Tom Fox, a policeman there. And also one other place. I came to the corner here of Fisher, of Elgin and Fisher, and I was on Elgin, and I came to a stop, but there was a Jeep truck that just barreled. This was during Markoff with the haunted house and everything, and he just blew through like there was no stop sign there at all. So I think next year you might want to put a tickler in to get the cops out there for all the time that Markoff is open, because that guy was just going. He wasn't stopping or anything. I don't know if he was on the phone talking to somebody, distracted or whatever, but.
Yeah, they had Chris Hendricks at the gas station, not the one on the corner, but down the way facing out. But I told Chris, I was like, you're kind of far away from where all the action is up there at the stop sign.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a better spot for you to be there or not, but we'll reiterate that to them as well. And
I think, and also, I don't know if Link wants to put something in the paper, but there's a lot of kids who are riding bicycles, and it's funny because one of them has his helmet, but it's on the handlebars. It's not on their head. And there's others that, girls and boys, no helmet whatsoever. And having had a son fall off a bicycle when he hit a standy patch, and having to go to the emergency room, I can tell you with all, it's a serious. And depending on what they hit or how they hit it, it could be something that could really be impactful for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
Well, I will mention it. Thank you.
Jerry,
Any questions? Go ahead.
Real quick. In the morning, around what time frame are you seeing it in the morning?
When kids are going to
Going to the middle school?
class.
Or, because I'm wondering too, also, because I would imagine some folks might speed through to get to the high school, and that's like a start time by
No,
7:40.
these people are going down.
They're speeding to
Hughes
get to
Road.
the
Now,
middle
I don't know
school.
if all of them have, when they're going down Hughes Road, whether or not they're going to drop their kids off to the middle school. and
Well, this is around the
turn right
7:40,
on Lower Town
7:50.
Fox. I don't walk that fast.
Yeah.
Heck, those speed bumps, they slow me down from an eighth of a mile an hour to a 16th of a mile an hour. Really. So bottom line is, but these guys they're blowing down Hughes Road, and also sometimes they're going down Tom Fox. But I didn't think Tom Fox is, it's a development road. I understand everybody's entitled to use it. However, when you got cars going from the stop sign at Hillard all the way to the stop sign at Hoskinson, I don't know if should be the way it should be.
Okay, very good. Any other
I
questions?
don't-
Yeah.
I was just, and this isn't necessarily a question, I'm part of the JPMS, PTA Facebook group, and just this last week, Sue Ann had posted that kind of hey, pay attention to traffic rules, especially the no left turn, because the police are going to be enforcing that more. So it sounds like it's also on their radar, and they're in conversation with local police. And I
Well, he
also
didn't-
wonder if this needs to maybe be more of a traffic volunteer out there.
Well, the officer I spoke with, he said they had no clue. And the excuse is usually, well, we only got 3 officers and, one of them's.
No, we can get them to do
So-
that, but that's the end of the
So
shift
maybe
too.
let's touch base with
Yeah.
Joanne, because it
Yeah.
sounds like they have also
Right.
been in.
And I've mentioned this to,
Carolyn.
the middle school principal, and he says he puts it out, and, the kids aren't listening to it. I don't know what the parents are doing, but again, it's like, you don't really want to spend time in the emergency room with your child and fretting about,
Yeah, I don't want to make excuses for them. Again, that's the end of the shift, 7 a.m. So that's a tough time for those guys, but we will definitely mention too, we have a good relationship with them. I can't, where we were with the lynching memorial, and Montgomery County Police was there. We had a great discussion with those guys there. So they want to make it safe. So thank you for your testimony. Appreciate it. Yep, all good. Okay, who wants to go first there? Come on up and introduce yourself. And I'm looking at these addresses, I happen to be in the real estate business, and it looks like everybody's a relatively new resident. Am I reading that right?
Yes.
All right, good. Thank you for coming up, and thank you for participating. We appreciate it.
you.
It's good. Thank you.
Everyone, my name is Samra, and I'm a pretty new resident. I've been here nearly 2 years. Absolutely love Poolesville. We've made many friends, feel very welcomed here. I have 2 kids, 1-year-old, 6-year-old. 6-year-old walks with me to school every day, walk her back. Amazing, love it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Oh, no, you
Am I
have
done? Okay.
more. All right, go ahead. You're up. Thank you.
So I reached out to the town a few months ago as I was curious how the decision to opt out of the pesticide law was made. And I was just genuinely curious because I know that the rest of the towns in Montgomery County opted in. And I was very happy and excited to see that on October 2nd, the commissioners, you guys decided that you're going to opt in to this law. And I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for thinking about the health and safety of our children, their environment, and the pets. And whatever discussions take place on November 20th, I would really like to ask you to always keep in mind the children, because that's why we're here, the moms. And I'm here representing all the moms that can't make it here tonight because, well, they're taking care of their kids, right? It's dinner time. So going back to the county pesticide law, what does it restrict? It restricts the use of certain pesticides on private lawns, playgrounds, mulch recreation areas, and childcare facilities. It doesn't touch agriculture, and it also has some exemptions. So you're still allowed to spray against ticks and mosquitoes. I know that's something that came up. So you can still spray against that. I think a really easy Google search will show you that there are multiple studies and peer-reviewed scientific journals that show the direct link between these chemicals, these pesticides, and humans getting cancers. These are really bad cancers, so from brain tumor, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and leukemia. The NIH says, this is what the NIH says about the impact of pesticides on the environment. Pesticides can contaminate soil, water, turf, and other vegetation. In addition to killing insects or weeds, pesticides can be toxic to a host of other organisms, including birds, fish, beneficial insects, and non-target plants. Bayer, the German company that owns the makers of Roundup, which is the most well-known weed killer, actually pulled Roundup from the USA market. Reason being, they've had 150,000 claims up to date against Roundup, which puts them in regarding the link between exposure to this chemical and getting these cancers. And all of these claims have been backed by the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer. And recently, a jury awarded $332 million in damages on claim that Roundup weed killer gave him incurable cancer. So, in conclusion, what we moms of Poolesville are trying to understand is why this motion, which simply puts us in line with the rest of the county, protects our children and pets, protects the environment, protects our groundwater, is so controversial in Poolesville. And my question to the town commissioners is tonight, what do we moms need to do to stay in line with the rest of the county? So that's what I would like to know. What needs to happen? What do you guys need from us?
Well, the short answer, thank you for your testimony, first of all, but the answer is we need to hear from people. I mean, there's many people that want to keep the ban in place, that are on your side. Have them get in touch with us, write to us, come to the meeting, whatever. I've been doing a lot of research on this myself, and I think that I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Fortunately, it's not a super simple, cut and dry, issue like generally they aren't, but we will definitely hear all the different feedback and make a decision. But
I want to clarify that we have not decided to revisit that decision. We've decided to have an open public
right.
discussion so that people can share their opinions about it. But there has been no vote taken amongst the commissioners
Right.
to reverse
Okay.
Or
the
amend.
decision that was made October 2nd. So I just want to make that clear so that you're,
Okay, that's good.
yeah.
Okay.
And my position is, I'm open to hearing both sides, but it would be a high bar for me to want to go back on something we've already voted on, personally. So,
Ed, anything on you?
Yeah, I would just echo what's been said. I think everyone has an opportunity to share their position on there. And in our roles, we need to be able to listen to every voice that wants to come forward. And so out of respect to the group that came last time, they felt they didn't have opportunity to share their position. And so I think it's only prudent to give them that opportunity to share their position on there. And by all means, I know other folks will come that night and will share their positions.
Right.
And so then we have to listen. And then after that, we make some decisions on where do we go after we've listened to what everyone has to say.
Right. I understand.
Yeah,
by all means, make noise, write us, tell us how you feel,
But
we're trying to gather as much information as possible, as many opinions as possible, so.
What I would just add on, though, at least I'll speak for myself, is that going beyond opinions is I like to really dive into the factual information because everyone's going to have an opinion,
Right.
but every opinion is not fact. And so being able to say, like you said earlier, the NIH study, and I'm sure whoever supports it or whoever's against it, you have a better shot of communicating your position when you have facts to support the position that you take. Then I really like to cut through all the noise and really just look at what are the factual pieces of information and what is the impact on water, what is the impact on pets, and so forth.
And we will have present an expert from the county who is the person who is, I don't know, in charge of organic landscaping.
Okay.
I can't remember what her name is, but she said that
She's
called
coming,
her
yes, yeah.
today, and she said, "Oh, I've already spoken to Wade," and I was like, "Oh, that's great." So we will have an expert there who can speak to the science and research behind the county's decision and everything that they've learned in the last 4 years that this has been in place in the whole rest of the county, and the experience of all the other landscape companies who have made that transition successfully.
That's good to know.
And just to further clarify, the reason why we're actually revisiting this, but not necessarily reopening back up, is that there's people out there, and rightfully so, feel like that we weren't as transparent as we could be in terms of our discussions involving it. That's a little short-sighted because we've already had these discussions before, and the town decided to, in a meeting, which is usually we hash things out till they're just wrangled up and chewed up and spit out before we make decisions. We've actually have done that to some degree on this in the past, but we felt like, okay, we didn't give enough chance for people to testify on it, and so that's why we're having it together. Likely that night we'll probably the people that just want to have an opinion to continue with what we have right now, I'm just going to ask everybody to raise their hands so we don't have to, go through. We'll maybe have a spokesperson that can give a strong presentation on that side, and then we'll show some support for that position. We'll hear from a few experts, and that night I don't see us making any decisions whatsoever beyond what we've already decided. So we'll see how that goes after that. But it's just to be fair and be transparent, too. We've done that really well the last couple of years, but we didn't make it obvious this time. So we want to make it obvious, and we appreciate your testimony.
And I'll just add on, and for those who are pro and those who are against, we also, once we have all the information that's shared, then we need time to digest that information. So it wouldn't be a, let's make a decision now. It would be listen and go back and digest what you've heard. And then if we need to make new decisions, then we would have a discussion about that.
Okay.
In public.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
in public, definitely in public.
Yeah. Thank you for your testimony.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep. Next up,
Thanks for coming.
either one of you all is fine. Thank you for coming.
Good evening.
Good
Hi,
evening.
Lauren Mirage. I live at 17077 Oxley Farm Road. I'm also here and with my friend Samra to say that I love living here in Poolesville. I grew up in a small town in Ohio. It's got a very similar vibe. I have two small children, just like Samra, a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old. I was actually pregnant when I came here to this area. I'm really excited to hear about our discourse that we're going to have on November 20th about the pesticide issue. I am a physician, and I am very kind of concerned about the fact of how this impacts our groundwater here. With my youngest, I actually, when I send him to his daycare, which is not, unfortunately, is not in this area, I actually give him a separate bottle to take the water from that area so that he can get water. That's how concerned I am as a medical provider about our groundwater and the water that we're supplied here. And I really want to have a full, honest discourse about kind of the pesticide issue, because I do think that its long-term effects, which me and my colleagues, we study on a daily basis, and I see tangibly, will have for our greater community at whole. And so I am willing to bring in any data. If anybody wants to speak with any other providers, I can certainly get my colleagues involved. But I just am really wanting to show that there are people out in our community that are wanting to discuss this issue further. I appreciate your time for allowing me to talk.
Of course.
All right,
Thank you so much. Anything?
Welcome to Poolesville.
Yep.
very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Hello.
Hey.
I am also on the side of Lauren and Samra. I am a mom as well.
You're Christine, right?
I am Christine
Okay,
Holland.
I got it right here.
Yes, Christine Holland, 18704 Medley Way. I am in the reserve, Brightwell Crossing. So I did move here about 3 years ago. And I'm kind of approaching this in a different light. I agree completely with their science. And my testimony is only that I had no idea that this was going on. I had no idea that we and another county were the only ones that weren't doing it.
Municipality. Right, municipality.
Municipality, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
That weren't doing this. So that, and like, I still need to spend some time on this. It's fairly new to me. And so I'm concerned that there is a significant community communication issue. I don't believe that the people I live near are aware of either side necessarily. But I believe that with proper information, they could be more on the side of protecting the children, protecting the pets, protecting the water. So I'm similar to Samra. I'm asking, would it be important to maybe write an article in the Monocle, given, the facts, what's going on, to let people know that this is an issue. There are two sides, how to get involved, who to write. Or a petition. There is one circulating, but we certainly can post it on the town page or something.
Well, you have the ability to post it too. Whoever's doing the petition,
Yeah.
they could do it. And we're definitely going to publicize the heck out of the meeting, of course, so that everybody can see it.
Yeah.
And participate in whatever way they see fit, prior to petition, writing the commissioners, et cetera. So
Yep.
I'm with you.
And the only other thing was, there is a petition for the landscaping company, and it came directly from them to their customers. Their customers that I've spoken to didn't know what it was about, but they supported their, company. conflict of interest in some ways, So I believe that, it's my opinion, that half of the message is getting through. So I'd like to try to get the other half.
Organize it, put it out there.
Can I ask you a question? Are you subscribed to the town updates? Like, have you,
The alerts.
the alerts, like if you go to the, town website and you can subscribe to get like email messages every time there's an update?
Yeah.
You get it every week or every time there's a meeting, like several days before you get an agenda, and you can read the agenda and see that there's pesticide stuff on it. The other thing is there's on the town website, there's a link where you can directly write the commissioners, and like you can say what you have to say, and we all get a copy of it, as well as Wade, the town manager, so we can all review it. So that's a great resource too.
Okay.
If you have friends that feel strongly about this and want to speak about it, but they can't be here, that's a great way to do it too.
Okay.
We'd love to see anyone come in too as well, but like Sarah said, the
Yeah, I was just
email
curious
updates
if
is
you were
great.
signed up for that or if you'd ever heard about it.
My husband is.
Oh, okay.
My husband is, and he's much more active in the community than I am. And
I just wonder how many residents know that they can sign up.
yeah, I didn't, and he's
Yeah.
doing it, but we had the
Sign up for the
conversation. He's like, of course, they had meetings. He knew a couple of you guys. He knew Jim, and he's met you. So
Okay.
yeah, there are some, but he didn't know about the pesticide. I guess.
Let me leave you with this, okay? You have to remember this, and I ask everybody that's in this room, especially the three moms, and I appreciate all the testimony. Poolesville is one of the most tested water systems in the United States. We have very safe water here. We are at the forefront of PFAS mitigation. We are taking a leadership role in Maryland. You're going to be hearing much more about PFAS. I think you're going to be hearing about pesticides as time goes on. Doesn't mean pesticides aren't important to do the right thing with. But I just, it can take only a few people to have a message get skewy that for some reason our water's unsafe, or that we've had to deal with this in the past. This isn't the first time that, we're by some measures a sole source aquifer, but we're the only town our size that has a staff hydrologist. These are the people that practice the science of water, not just the science of science, but the science of water itself. And we're going to get a fair shake to the people that want to lend their voices to what's going to be said at the next meeting. As I said, I don't, none of these commissioners are making any kind of claims about what we're going to do with that or not until we hear from everybody. But just know, and please feel free to spread the word, we're incredibly well monitored. If you see otherwise, that's BS. And we're a town that takes a lot of pride and realize that water is the life of everything here. So we take it very seriously. And it wasn't cavalier that we decided to vote on this the last go round. It just seemed that way because we had already had more discussions about it, and then we
Read all the past.
we've had all that already.
Last time this was discussed.
And we did not make that clear in the last meeting, so that's the reason why we're doing a revisiting. But feel free to spread the word to your people, and I would say, I drink our water every day.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm the person that's, the model for health, but I definitely enjoy my Poolesville water, and it's safe to drink, and it's safe for everybody here.
Yeah,
from a guy that drinks
it's more
Diet
of a
Coke.
communication thing,
Yeah,
one-sided
It's 99%
communication.
water.
What I would say
We had the landscape company for a year. We had a year contract. And during that whole year, we were pressured into their
Understood.
agenda. And I didn't do the research,
Right.
bad on me.
Yeah, a lot of people
Was
just
it-
don't know.
But I started
Yeah.
learning about ground cover.
So if we
and all
see that
good
petition,
stuff.
we're going to find your name, go down, we're just going to cross it right off.
So I also, one of the things I hear you saying is like maybe the importance of more community education, and that'd be a great thing to bring to the Sustainable Poolesville Committee.
the other 1%,
And
yeah.
they do a lot of outreach and education.
One of the things I would share, and for all three of you, welcome to Poolesville. I'm glad you're enjoying yourselves here. It's a great place to be. Is that would help me and my wife and our kids is that we had to be very intentional with finding out what's going on. And what I would encourage folks who say that the communication is lacking is a two-way street. And I'm not being defensive, but I'm just saying is that two-way street because the information is there and signing up for the text. And I probably did that probably about 5 years ago. I said, oh, there's a text message that you can get with the agendas, the water main breaks, and all this stuff that I didn't even realize. And I'm like, okay, it's very convenient, and you could go through, and then when things happen on the agenda, you could skim through that agenda, because what might be important to you might not be important to your friend who might know it, so it might not come up with conversation. And so I would say too, it's important to look at the website, the town website, sign up for those alerts. There's a bunch of alerts. I would say just sign up for them, have them that text message, and the ones that are applicable to things that you're interested in, move on them. The Sustainable Poolesville, we meet once a month, and those meetings are on YouTube. It's open to the public. And one of the challenges is sometimes, there's probably a handful of people watching right now, but the business has to keep moving forward. And so it's just a matter of where some feel like they might have missed something. It's not because it wasn't shared, but because they didn't look to see what they might miss.
Right.
So,
Yeah, completely agree.
Yep.
Thank you.
Love the testimony. Thank you, and thank you for being here, all three of you, really, thank you. And Jerry, too, I don't want to short shrift you,
See
buddy.
you guys on the
Yeah.
20th.
And thanks for the
Maybe
testimony.
you need to talk to some local realtors about, is this part of the welcome packet, like, hey, how to connect with your local town?
It's a good idea. I will add that in. Thank you. I will do that, and I will speak to my fellow people out there that tell our story.
Yeah, we do have some mailers that little cards that we mail out that says how to sign up for alerts and stuff we do send out and give to new
When, like,
residents
people
also.
move
Do
in.
another, yeah.
Is that what you guys were talking about over there?
No, we were zooming in on you when you were giving your testimony, so. We're testing out the new equipment.
Makeup.
that's right. Keep it over there.
Again, thanks, fellow residents, and we appreciate you, and we appreciate the testimony.
Testimony.
And we care more about the kids and clean water than I think anybody else does, so, and, we share your thoughts.
And what you'll see in the monocle, you see Link sitting right there in front of you. He comes to these meetings and he'll go back and you'll see articles. I was just reading my copy of the monocle today.
He's one of the reporters, so if
And
you want to share
so-
something with Monocacy Monocle, talk to Link.
Yeah. Now you know.
Reach out,
Sorry,
and
Link.
he's right there.
Just put a target on you.
All right, you guys, thank you, everybody, for your public comment. Jerry, too, appreciate everybody. So we have minutes for our October 16th, 2023 meeting. I believe we were all here for that meeting. So,
We were, yeah, Jeff wasn't, right?
no, was he here?
He was on Zoom.
Zoom.
He was on Zoom. Still counts.
I don't know.
It's okay. He's just not going to vote tonight. Okay, we need a
I make a
Motion
motion to
for
approve
approval.
the minutes from the meeting of October 16, 2023.
motion.
Second.
Second by Sarah. All in favor of approval of the minutes of October 16th, 2023, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Jeff, abstain? Okay, very good. So minutes have been approved 4-0. We don't have anything under old business, but we're going to be talking about some things, too, that probably are old business when it comes down to it. New business. It's the town manager and the town assistant manager and the town engineer's time to shine. So let's go ahead and have your presentation, and we all wait with
Yeah.
wrapped
If you want to hear more
ears.
about water, that's what we're going to be talking about.
Okay, so typically when we have these water reports, they usually talk about capacity. And in January, we will do that. We have our annual capacity report that we come out with and how things are going. Tonight, I want to talk about some of the new regulations that have come out, namely PFAS, and then there's also some contaminant disposal regulations that have changed for some of our filtration units. So it's a big impact with our wells in general and how we're going to put our treatment systems in. So right now, we know the EPA is looking to establish a proposed 4 parts per trillion for PFAS in the water. They're supposed to come out by the end of the year with this decision. There's so many unknowns with this. Everybody's kind of dealing with it nationwide because the PFAS is prevalent in every community across the United States. 6 of our 10 wells do have some type of PFAS in it. It's different levels, some above 4, 6 of them are above 4. The well 2 and well 3 that were 25 parts per trillion and 21 parts per trillion were taken offline immediately once we found out about it. We've included a filtration device on well number 3. We're going through a pilot testing study with MDE. It's 100% removal of the contaminant. It's
Remember our acronyms, or some people aren't up on those.
of the PFAS.
No, how about, well, you don't know, I don't expect you to say that one.
Please don't.
But MDE,
Maryland Department of the Environment.
right.
Yes, they approve all plans, treatment systems, permitting, how much water we withdraw, everything. They control it. It's the state's water, not our water. We just withdraw it. So what I want to do is kind of walk through all of our wells and kind of give you an education on where we stand at each one of our wells, because there's going to be budget implications. January, February, we get into the budget cycle of how we're going to treat some of this. And as I stated in my memo, most of it's unknown at this time. I mean, we're kind of creating this as we're going, as is everybody else. So we'll talk about well 2 for a minute. It's one of our best producing wells. It's 125 gallons per minute. We typically run it 24 hours a day. It has a cartridge filtration unit on it for any contaminants that may occur close to the surface. We run it 24 hours a day because MDE requires us to do a 5,000 gallon flush every time it comes on. So instead of flushing it once or twice a day and wasting all this water, we just run it 24 hours, and we have it set at 125 gallons per minute, so we can run it all summer long without shutting it off, and it stays right at a equilibrium point in the aquifer, doesn't dewater the zones. I mean, it's a great well.
Would you mind giving the locations when you're mentioning the wells too?
Sure, and I did supply a map in the back of the memo that kind of shows where they are, but that well itself is right underneath the water tank, the elevated water storage tank. So the problem with this, it also has a chlorine contact unit that sits outside, and so 4 months of the year, we have to shut it off, which is not good, okay? So we know this one has PFAS contaminants in it, that's why it's offline right now. GAC, the carbon activated charcoal, will be probably the type of filtration we're gonna put on that, but again, those are outside right now, same as well 3. Well 3 is those 2 units are outside. Once it gets very cold, we'll be taking well 3 back offline unless we can put a temporary structure on it with some heaters, which we're working on right now.
Okay. That was going to be my follow-up question. Was there a way to winterize?
A temporary one we can. We're also looking at building a structure around it too, but we have to weigh several options, and I'll get to that as I'm moving through this. So we know the capital cost to purchase these filters is $60,000. That's for a dual bed unit. They're 8 foot tall. They're fairly large. Jim, you've seen them. I mean, they're big. They're big tanks. The annual cost. So we've had our first breakthrough on these filtration systems, and they come out once we have a breakthrough in the first tank. So you have one tank, the water goes into it, then it goes through a second tank. You sample before the tank, in between the tanks, and then the post tank before it goes in. As soon as you get a breakthrough of any PFAS, especially smaller chain ones that come through on the first tank, that's when you do your swap out, and then the secondary tank becomes a primary tank, and it kind of just goes around, so you always have activated charcoal in there that's fresh.
How often do you test? Every day?
No, we're going to once a month. We were doing it every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So now we have a nice timeline. We know that it's
You have a better sense of how long each filter lasts.
exactly. So that's the whole purpose of this whole test. We're gonna
Right.
keep going. Right now, we're renting those units for $5,000 a month to do this test. Now we have a knowledge, okay, they do work, completely non-detectable results. It was $21,000 for a swap out of the media. We'll be doing it twice a year, it looks like there. So that's $42,000 a year we'll be paying just for the filter change out for well number 3. So looking at the buildings, we don't know what the capital cost of that's gonna be. John's doing a mock-up right now of it to see what it's going to take. We know the bathroom at Halmos costs $250,000, so
Right.
well 7 and 9 that we have uranium removals on, that was $1.1 million to build that building. So we're going to be in between $250 and $1.1 million. I mean, smaller, John, right?
Thanks for narrowing it down.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
So in a nutshell, that's well 2 and well 3. We should talk about 4 and 14. Okay, 4 is out on West Willard Soccer Field. You see the new house out there by the soccer field? Well, 14 is just inside the development in a person's front yard in Westerly Grove. Those 2 wells will be tied together. Now, those 2 wells were supposed to be completed and brought online by the 33rd building permit of Westerly Grove. Unfortunately, the town manager at the time waived that provision of the public improvement agreement, and it was without the agreement of the planning commission or the commissioners. So when I came back, we were kind of stuck. Okay, the houses are all built now. You know, we have the tax monies that we receive from those homes, so we went to build it ourselves. Since COVID, all the prices went up, and so it costs us a lot more money to build it. And there's several little steps in here, but my main point is, it should have been done already, but it's not, and we're just now, I think we'll be able to set the pumps next week. This week, right. Next week, okay. Once we do the startup, then we have to go through PFAS testing and all kinds of different things, because PFAS wasn't on the radar to test, you know, 4 years ago, when these wells were, you know, well, 4 is way old, but 14 is relatively new.
Is 14 by well 4? I don't see it on the map. It's just there.
I think it says, I think we have 2 4s on that map. This is an old map.
Is this,
It'd be
Well,
right,
there are 2 4s.
yep.
Yeah.
these two right here?
Yeah.
So those will both go to one well house and be treated. Hopefully, you know, we'll find out about the PFAS. It may be an issue, it may not be an issue. That also has radon removal. All the newer ones coming in have a radon removal system, which is basically just an aeration tank, and it vents it to the atmosphere. And all of them are with chlorine. So then we move up to well 5, and well 5 was a very good producer too. That's on Elgin Road. And again, it has PFAS at 4.8 parts per trillion, so just barely over the proposed threshold of the 4 parts per trillion. Right now, it's chlorine only, very small parcel of property. It would be difficult to put a treatment facility on that if we have to. And we'll have to see how that plays out. Well 6 is also a very good well. That is on Bodmer, right near Bodmer Park, behind that Bodmer Avenue. It has 5.3 parts per trillion. So again, very low, but still over that threshold of 4 points. That's chlorine only. There is enough room to put filters on there.
There is or there is not?
There is. It's a.
The same
large enough
two-stage
area.
filters that we've been talking about?
Yes.
And we're not, as it stands right now, we're not really deviating from a two-stage filter proposition?
No, we are. So the
Okay,
option-
yeah, I knew you're going to get to it then. Sorry to interrupt.
So
Go ahead.
that's fine. It will go right into it, because one option they gave us was you could have a 3-stage filter. And then you have 2 that end up getting wasted, and you have your lag, which comes your lead, and you swap out 2. So once a year, you would have that change out of $21,000 instead of having the $42,000 per year for a well. Much better to try to tie them together in a central location and try to, you know, have 3 wells all tied together and do the same thing. And probably a larger vessel also at that point.
Would it go through the filters faster if you're
No,
pumping more wells through it?
No, you have to have a bigger vessel. So you still have to have water contact time with the
Same
media.
cost to change it.
The same cost to change it.
Wow. Okay.
It's more of a labor issue than a, you know,
Product.
Yeah, if you see the labor on it, guys, it's it's a big, huge bag of charcoal that gets dropped in and affixed, I guess, and the charcoal comes in, and we don't own the forklift that's needed to get it, to put it in, but maybe we will by the time this is all over.
that was part of the company rented it, that came out and did the change out.
Right. And I have a letter from the guy that did that, because I was there one day when they were doing it. I'll share it with all the commissioners, but it's a good read.
Wait, one quick question. When you say you're testing it, you're talking about parts per trillion, right? How many parts per trillion do we typically have?
Well, it ranges from 1.6
He
up to
listed them.
21 and 23. So
Each
yeah, each one of these
well,
charts, I have a
He has the
level
parts per
listed on
trillion
there.
What was the highest one?
23.
Okay. And is that for a specific type of chemical, or is that just in general? All PFAS?
We generalized it as PFAS, and it was a higher number of the PFOA. There's actually 9, I think at least 9 different ones that have shown up. There's a list of 29.
Have you looked at the WSSC list?
Not recently, I have not.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that. It's interesting because
There it is.
they apparently have a problem with it too.
Every water supply does.
So
Yep, every water supply. They're testing wastewater plants now too, because it's getting into the water supply from wastewater plants, because there's no way to treat it and remove it.
Yep.
Only way to take it out is to actually have a media that absorbs it. Then you have to take it and you have to incinerate it.
and WSSC is not filtering it yet. Is that right?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. So, as we just keep going down right through that, you see all these wells, especially from the map, that they are located all throughout neighborhoods throughout town. So when we talk about the PFAS, we looked at, does some of these pesticides actually come from or cause,
Like,
help
are
cause
some of
this.
the PFAS
Right.
contaminants
And so
coming
the
from
jury's still out on it.
residential
EPA is,
pesticide use?
yeah, EPA is doing some significant research on that exact topic right now of, how it's packed. Really, it's the inert ingredients in the pesticides that actually contains the PFAS, not the, the pesticide itself. So, well 8, it was over by the middle school. It had 11 parts per trillion. That would be a difficult one, as directly between the backyard and front yard of two homes for us to even put a filtration device in there. That would be very difficult. 7 and 9, those are tied together. We used to have 10. 10 was actually taken offline, and it shows you, again, a vulnerability with having groundwater in this area, potentially. It came up with iron bacteria. Now, it sits in an area that was kind of a low-lying area with some other ponds and a swampy area, and we tried to flush it out, chlorine, flushing, and all different types of things. Worked with the hydrologist in Maryland Department of the Environment to try to clean it
No
up, and
solution for that.
there was a solution for it.
Bacteria.
So we abandoned that well. So 7 and 9 are still there off of Bud Road. And we had some uranium in those wells identified by Maryland Department of Environment, probably like 2001. So we spent the $1.1 million, put in filtration units. And again, it's absorption media that does take out PFAS. We found out through this testing that it's actually working, removing that also.
Oh, so you purchased it to remove the uranium, but it also removes the
Captures
PFAS.
the
So that's
PFAS.
why the levels are so low in those wells.
Exactly. And you see those numbers are actually from the raw also.
Oh,
So that was even point of entry.
yeah,
So really, they're pretty low down that side of town.
okay.
Now, typically, we save up $20,000 a year to swap out this uranium. Well, just recently, the National Regulatory Commission passed a regulation that says you cannot have more than 15 pounds of uranium in filtration devices before you have to change out. It was around 50 a couple years ago. So that means that every other year now, we have to swap out these. So it's about $50,000 a year it's going to go to now to be able to do the swap out on that. So this is more of it's more of a cost issue that we're talking about that's coming down the pike on us. And how much capital we're going to put into it, but then ongoing maintenance that's going to occur also is actually the bigger picture. Well 10 is offline, and then well 11, that's a very low, two parts per trillion. And that's off of Hughes Road. It's a newer well. It's back in the woods a little bit. It's hard to even see. We do have radon removal on that well also.
How does it perform?
That's good. That's actually a very good well. We are limited by the potential impact on wells outside of town with that, so we're limited to 100,000 gallons per day. And it does
So
it
that you
easily.
aren't lowering, like,
Interference of
proximate
private wells.
residents who are also drawing water from the same
Exactly.
well?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then well 12, which is in Brightwell. It had a 6.7 parts per trillion. Plenty of room in that area if we need to build something there to have a filtration system. And then well 13 is over in Stony Springs, and that was 1.6 parts per trillion. So it's all over the board, except for well 2 and 3 that are offline, that were taken offline for the elevated levels per EPA's regulations. So that's kind of the wells in a nutshell. And at this moment, there's so many unknowns with that. We're a little bit vulnerable as far as what direction we're going to go and what the costs are going to be. Now, we do have a lawsuit that we're working on with 3M right now. It's a class action lawsuit, and we probably are going to get between $500,000 and $800,000. It looks like. Probably won't start getting a payout until about 2025, and it may be dispersed over a 5-year period. The way it's kind of shaping up right now. We know we have some grants we put in already through MDE, and we're waiting to hear back from those. They do have low-interest loans. We've not looked at those yet. All these things are going to come into play as we piece these things together. Trying to locate, so where well 1 was on Hughes Road near Tractor Supply, that was abandoned in the 90s. The casing was cracked and it had mud in it. It was collapsing. It was just a very, very old well. That site is still there. I think it's like is that a half acre, John? That would be a prime location if we could have 2 or 3 wells, maybe 4 wells going to that one location. Of course, you're talking about pipe bursting or running a pipe through a bursting machine under the ground. Hopefully, we wouldn't have to excavate everything and, bring them all to one location. But that'd be a prime location, and we're kind of looking at what that cost may
Only
be.
room for-
And you would try to like draw from the closest wells there, like two?
Exactly, you're looking at them, so you're exactly doing it, exactly. Yep.
Okay,
To see
Okay.
which ones we can bring there,
that would be interesting.
yes. So, for tonight, I'll back up a second here. For really what we're looking for tonight, first thing would be, we need some funds to do the strategic planning on, is it going to be better to cost advantage and operational value to look at filtration units on independent wells, or putting 2 or 3 together, or taking them all to one location. So we need to do a study on that and figure these things out and bring it back to you. Also, instead of renting these 2 units on well 3 at $5,000 a month, we should go ahead and purchase them for $60,000 a month. We're going to use them no matter what. So I-
60,000 period.
Purchase it for 60,000. Do you have any sense of how long that would last?
So those filters will last 20, 30 years, I would think, but it's the media they change out, but,
is usually 50 years, so.
yeah.
Okay.
The vessels themselves.
So well worth 60,000 to just purchase it
Within
outright.
12 months, your 5,000 is gonna be your 60,000.
That's
anyway.
exactly.
He ends up in there, and there's,
Yeah, we can just continuously change out that media.
Let's assume that there's another product that comes on the market that's different than the carbon gap that we're using. The material that goes in those vessels are gonna be.
You'd still be able to use the same
Exactly, like the
filter.
Cyclopure ones that were
Just upgrade the
corn-based.
media to whatever is.
Exactly.
Before you finish the money component of this, the money that's needed for tonight, 2 things. We talked about this earlier today. One, we had a discussion just for grins, talking about treating right off of the water towers. And that was just not feasible due to geography, location.
Just the way the whole system works.
Right,
Right.
gotcha. So I'm just saying that for the public, because people will be wanting to know. The other is, I know that we've had a conversation with our staff hydrologist about just, creating some sort of fund for each individual resident to put a system on their own water, as opposed to us trying to treat it en masse. And we've decided at face value that's problematic. And, we would run into various issues with that, that just don't really, that it does not mean to shirk our responsibility for the public water supply, but, what's the most efficient, effective way to do it?
Right.
And residents can certainly protect themselves. And like in my house, I have a regular water softener, but then I also have a reverse osmosis system for my drinking water, my ice cubes, my refrigerator and things. And that removes, nitrates, everything. That's probably the best product that a resident could use to protect themselves if they wanted to.
Right,
And they're fairly inexpensive relative to a whole house system.
understood.
How often, if someone is curious about water test results, how often do you publish?
Once a year, we do a water quality report,
Okay.
and online you can see all the way back. I've been doing them since before 2000. Yeah, they're all online, so every year we publish them and put them online.
Awesome.
And they're mailed to every home, too.
And are you going to talk about .5 at all?
I will, and we have an update on that today also.
Okay. Do you want
On
to
MD.
wait until we finish the?
Yes, can we do
filter?
yes.
Yeah.
So the money thing is probably the next thing we want to talk about. So what I'm requesting this evening is a transfer of $100,000 from unrestricted funds to the 3130 account. We already have a line item set up for PFAS remediation, so we can carry out the purchase of the filters and the engineering we need to look at everything from a comprehensive view.
You need a motion for a transfer.
Just hang for a second. The fund that we're taking from is unrestricted reserves, and their current balance is?
It's just over $1 million right now.
Okay, very good.
You want me to make the motion? Because it sounds like there's no,
Yeah, if you want to.
have any discussion?
Sure.
I mean, it sounds like this is something we have to
I-
I
do.
think it's something we gotta do.
I have nothing more to discuss. I think I really appreciate how thorough you both are.
Sure.
And I think it makes sense that that's the next step that we need to take.
So I make a motion, we transfer $100,000 from unrestricted reserves to account 3130 for the purchase of, how do you say that?
Tetrasolve?
Tetrazol filters for ongoing engineering.
I'll second his motion.
Motion made by Martin, second by Ed. Any other discussion on it? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Jeff, not here. It's opposed. It has been approved 4-0. Okay, Wade, next up then.
Okay, so point number 5. So Niles has been involved with, every 5 years, the county has a mitigation plan, and they identify, where the droughts, storms, whatever the fire, whatever the thing that needs to be mitigated is. So for Poolesville, several years ago, they identified severe drought could possibly adversely impact the wells, and there's not an alternative water supply. So they listed a study that would look at bringing a line from the WSSC out near Harris Teeter into Poolesville and for an alternate water supply. So that's on the radar right now, and it's been there. You got to get federal grants for it. We've never really supported it because there is a other side to this that everybody would think and possibly could happen. You bring another alternative water supply in or more gallons per day, you can build more houses. And nobody wants that. So, the unintended consequences are certainly there for that to happen. So we did bring it up today at our meeting with MDE and talking about the report out right now about climate change and how it's going to impact or potentially impact the wells in the future. And it ranged from, we're going to have 10% more rainfall to 10% less rainfall. And the report that was done by Pat Hammond and John Grace, the hydrologist for the state, they're retired now, really didn't have a firm conclusion on what it's going to be like in the future. And there wasn't any red flags for us. It was more of a report for MDE to make policies and permit changes in the future, and they don't foresee any changes or policy changes in the future from the report they've received. So really, it was just a non-consequential report. And you say you're on the call too, Martin, so.
Yeah, I mean, they seem more concerned with people that get their water from like the river and surface water than they did for like aquifers.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know. We experienced a minor drought this year, and I remember going rafting on the Potomac in August, and my boat wouldn't move. The water was so low so I don't see how tapping into the river source, which is where WSSC gets their water from, would solve a problem in a general drought. And it seems like like you said, it opens up for questions of development. What I would love to see is a plan for water conservation as a community. If we are facing a drought, what measures voluntarily can we have residents
And we do
take?
have that lined out in different steps of you have
Like
voluntary
no washing your
conservation
car,
and-
don't water your lawn.
Right, exactly, yes. And there's steps from, voluntary to mandatory. So we do have those in place.
And the residents, as I recall in our conversations, they've been responsive. When we put it out there, there's a noticeable, it may not go down to the degree that we want it to, but at the same time, there's a noticeable conservation.
So the MDE also recognized that we have redundant wells in place, that we have the capacity to withdraw from additional wells, even though we're talking about PFAS and have wells offline and things kind of negate, we're lucky
It
to
all
have
comes
those
from the
now.
same place.
Yeah.
Yes and no. So, but let me finish this part, then I'll get to the point.
Okay.
So, and I was talking with Kathy Mim about it too in MDE today, saying, an alternate source or a supplemental source would probably be a good idea. And Kathy was thinking about maybe with some locations, we could talk about drilling a couple more wells. While we're not going to increase our permit that you can withdraw it, it'll be there in case you create storage capacity in the aquifer without taking it out.
Create a well, but don't draw on
Yes.
it.
So whether that's even out there, I mean, because we're limited in our watersheds, what we can take out, but it's something to think about that we should, it's a safety device.
Our permit will never be increased that we know of. So
No, it won't because-
so that no one has to worry about development. It would just be for
Right.
alternative water source if and when the time was needed.
Theoretical recharge is based on acreage of the town, and we're not going to annex it, so we can't withdraw.
So
it.
explain to me how we are not all,
Okay,
it's a sole source aquifer. I thought that there was.
it is, but there's so it's all different fractures. You can have a well dry up and have fractures go dry, and one.
In a
not too far,
specific
it'll be
location.
fine. It's not
Okay.
like on the eastern shore where the water table is going to drop all at once. It's not like that. It's totally different coming through rocks
There's
and
like
fractures.
pockets.
It's very much, we've actually sent cameras down in the well bores, and you'll see it opens into a cavern underneath.
Is that part of this, to top, what do you call it? The different sizes of the landscape
Yeah.
and where it's spread out.
Topography.
And so you,
Topography, that's what I was trying to think.
so you do two things. You could have a couple wells, and you can draw 100,000 gallons per day and really kind of drop and it will drop during the day. It's called a coney depression. Or you can have two other ones over here and pump them at 50 gallons or 50,000 gallons per day, and they're going to stay static because those fractures are recharging, and you're not harming the aquifer. Once the
Keeping
aquifer gets
pace with
exposed,
the
you get that white
recharge
calcium
rate.
builds up. So yeah, it's managing those wells, and so we've kind of done that. Our wells are not maxed out. They don't produce what they can produce. They all have throttle valves on them that take them back. We did a 3-month test during a drought with Pat Hammond back in probably 2005 or 2004, and we did all the wells, and we had to find equilibrium at a level above the fracture zones to maintain it for a 3-month period during a drought. And that's where we set all our pumps now. That's what the pumping rates are all set at. And so we actually get more water in a 24-hour period, pumping them less than you would pumping them fast, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay.
So,
I mean, it seems like we have several wells that are not online that have the potential for providing additional water if we need it
yes, yeah.
already. I mean, without even digging another well.
So how do we proceed with this with the approaching WSSC? Is that something we'd have to vote on? Is that something the staff decides? And then I saw your note in here about like we could talk to Jay about whether we could just make it for emergency use only. That would obviously like
So, go
address
ahead.
people's fears about development.
The short answer is like, we don't necessarily have to, so the plan that is being developed is primarily for the county. We are contributors to that plan in the planning process. In fact, in the 2018 version of the plan, the jurisdictional question around this question of the alternate water source was passed from the town to Montgomery County. So they're the leading jurisdiction on this question of the connection of alternate supply. So that process is still ongoing. I met with them last week. We had a public meeting on this plan. They didn't go into specifics about this, but just the general overall, what are our hazards? What are we looking at from all sorts of angles? So that process is still ongoing. So the exact language, what the county actually wants to come to, hasn't been decided yet. How they exactly want to phrase going through and doing this study. It's about $100,000 for them to do a study on the feasibility of connecting this. So that's sort of where it stands right now, is they're developing these recommendations, and then that has to go through the county process for funding and things
This
like
thing is
that.
out of our hands. Like even if we say we don't want it, like if
No.
we deem that we need.
No, because we still have to apply for the grant monies to have it funded.
Yeah, so that's what comes back to us.
Like the plan is,
So the study would be grant funded, and it would actually probably end up being a federal grant, but it's through these jurisdictions to work out how, there would be a negotiation basically for how we would
It's a
work out.
partnership, and then applying for the grants probably jointly and looking at, secure the grant to do the feasibility study.
Exactly. So the real question will be, at that point, do we want to participate in getting that grant money to do that study? That's probably the next checkpoint on it.
would it also include alternatives like creating another well?
So-
And could we use the
No.
grant funding for that?
That'd be totally different.
Yeah, that'd be different,
All
yeah.
right.
And that's more localized, and we would need a grant to do that. But let's go back to your statement a second ago, that there's several wells offline that we might not have to drill another one. And I'd say, right now, with well 2 offline, when well 3 was offline this summer, our wells were being stressed a little bit during our summer months. We were running 18, 19 hours a day. If another well would have gone out, and we did ask for voluntary conservation measures also when this was happening. So, no, if another like 7 and 9 would have gone out, or the treatment system would be gone down there, we would have been asking folks to really cut back big time.
So in terms of offline, it's just well 4 and 14.
Or 14, 2, yeah, those are the 3 that are,
2, but that's temporary, right?
well, we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. That's just that there's so many unknowns here.
Got it.
And then what's EPA going to do? You know, typically if they go ahead and, let's say they just adopt the proposed 4 parts per trillion in December, they say that they're anticipating they're going to have a 3-year grace period for people to be able to implement solutions. At least that's what everybody's thinking right now.
I feel like that doesn't really affect us because we've already kind of decided.
Well, I think our community in general is not going to let us
Right.
get away with that. No, I agree with you.
Right.
Yeah,
But plus, we have to fund it.
yes.
And that's going to be a whole nother
Yeah.
situation.
And well one, you said,
No, well one's gone, yeah.
is just gone, gone, gone.
It's abandoned, totally.
Decommissioned.
Closed up.
Okay.
Can I back up and ask a question about, I understand Poolesville's role with the pesticide ban, but the county in general obviously has the same ban. We're adopting their ban. But do the farmers have to follow that?
No.
Doesn't include agriculture.
Is there any talk about them being included in it? Because like, it sounds like what they're spraying on their fields has a lot of PFAS in it, and like, that's obviously above our
groundwater.
aquifer.
Potential
any
is-
talk about, like, the
potential is
county-
there, but it's I don't want to say hands off, but it's a different realm.
Yeah.
Golf courses are also exempt.
Yeah.
They're probably more of a contributor to it than a,
Oh, I'm sure.
I was going to say, that seems like the next lowest hanging fruit.
And then the other thing I wanted to clarify is you spoke with Pat Hammond via phone, is that right?
yes.
And so just so residents know, you asked him, in terms of global warming and like our water supply and all, if we're good to go, and like the answer you got is like everything that was in Kathy Mims' report, Papadopoulos' report, is good to go, right? Like that's what we.
He did say that, and MD said it today. Pat did mention that he didn't feel that the analysis between each well and potential interference in the future during droughts, severe droughts, how that may change, and he wanted to look at that component of it, and that wasn't part of the scope that Kathy had done. But other than that, he said,
Will he give us? Will he pass that information?
If we draw, it might lower. other
yes,
people's wells.
exactly. Yeah.
Will he pass that information on to us once he has it, or how is that gonna?
The person who's paying him to do it, it's going to be their report, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
He doesn't work for a public agency any longer, so
Okay.
that's all I have.
Well, that's very thorough. Thank you very much. I mean, thanks for being so on top of this. It's obvious that you're taking it very seriously and doing everything you can.
Before we go further, I know Jerry had a question. Jerry, you can go ahead and stay right there if you want to. And then, ladies, if you have questions too, based on everything you just heard, we're open to have a question or two. But Jerry, go ahead. You're going to dispute something. I feel something coming on.
When you mentioned surface communication, basically what that means is there's stuff coming in from the ground, from the surface into the well bore. That's why we have that filtration system on well 2. But with respect to what WSSC is proposing, they use more chemicals on treating surface water than what we do to treat our water.
Sure.
Number one.
Yep.
Number 2, back in '96, I was told by then town manager Jim Alsabrook that it would cost approximately $1 million a mile to run a pipe from Black Rock to here. And then who's going to be paying for that cost? And WSSC has a completely different rate than we do, because if we take our wells offline and go strictly with them, or is there going to be some sort of, we're going to blend the water, and blending water, that it introduces a new problem. Your surface water with well water.
To be explored. I hear you. That's complex. There's no question about it. I know that we know that there are factors out there, but the solutions haven't been created yet. So we get it. And that's, and I don't think that's changed in the last 20 years either, really. That whole idea behind that.
And we do have a water conservation plan. How do I know that? I wrote it.
All right, good. Right, we will refer to it as the Klobakowski rule. Thank you. One of many. Ladies, did you guys have any questions for staff? I know that's been a bit of an eye-opener tonight, so we're welcome to have commentary if you're open for it. Anything? Yeah, that's okay. Appreciate it. It's a lot to digest, as we are all digesting too. Okay, next order of business. That's you.
Niles.
Oh, yeah.
That's Niles.
Sorry. So I just wanted to report on a couple of things as part of the manager's report. One is Maggie and I had a good meeting last week about the website. We are going to, we're going forward with sort of the redesign and things like that. And so within the next week or so, we should get back some sort of mock-ups of the color scheme and things like that for the new website to make it sort of
Do we get to see those?
more readable. We can
Do a preview?
Sarah, way to choke Niles up on that one.
Joking on that.
no.
Take a breath.
Breathe.
Yeah, no, we can once we see it, there'll be a couple of different options, so we can
Cool.
get a poll going of you guys. How's that sound?
Excited.
Oh, Lord, help us.
You get 5 different opinions.
Exactly.
2 or 3 might agree.
Yeah. And then secondly, I had a call today with MML's new cybersecurity partner that they're sort of working to see if that's something that we want to do. They're going to provide for us a sort of checklist of what we want to look at cybersecurity-wise to make improvements to the town infrastructure and things like that. So we're going to work through some of those things over the next couple of weeks. But I wanted to give those couple of updates. So.
Okay. Also, I'm going to jump in, with Bob retiring, as you mentioned earlier, we're going to do a bit of reconfiguration with the staff in Town Hall. We have 2 ads that have gone out, posted, one's for the administrative assistant and one for a part-time event coordinator. As we talked about, we're going to promote Maggie to the town clerk position and offer Kathy the billing operational clerk position that Maggie now holds, and have an administrative assistant come in, do the filing, as well as be assistant to the town clerk. So,
I read both of those ads. The only, and not critiquing in any way, but I think I would have put in bold, must be a team player in there somewhere. And not because of anything that we're doing currently right now, but, you know, the synergy and the way that we all work together is, I mean, we're thin-staffed, and everybody has to work really well together, so.
doesn't everybody think they're a team player?
I question that.
Walk me through the hiring process then. Who does the interviews?
So Maggie and I will be doing the interviews. Yep.
Awesome.
And Kathy may sit in on the event coordinator one also, because she's really closer to that than, yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Look forward to hearing about it.
Hope we get town residents.
That's what we're trying to,
Yep.
exactly.
Good.
Also, you'll see Preston and his crews out setting up the holiday lighting stuff. It takes them 3 or 4 weeks to do it, so right now they're putting flags up for Veterans Day, but then they'll be putting lights up and starting the whole thing on the commons out here, so you'll see them out there. And the holiday lighting ceremony is set for Friday, December 1st, 6 p.m.
Just when we need Jeff, you pick up the slack. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's it.
Thanks for the laugh, Link.
Saturday, right?
Oh, for your American Legion event.
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day.
American League, yeah. This coming Saturday, November 11th, Veterans Day at 10:50. We'll try and start the ceremony at 10:50. It'll be our American Legion, Poolesville American Legion Post 247 Veterans Day ceremony.
So,
On the
Right.
commons? Okay.
I may not be in town, so let's coordinate
Yeah,
who can
I'll be
attend.
there.
Okay, good, thank you, appreciate it. All right, what else you guys got?
That's it.
Audience, you know, it's your time, you just got here, anything from you? Good, that's fine. If you want to provide testimony, come on up to the chair, tell us who you are, and give us your address. Sure.
Thank you. Sorry, I was late. I'm Soledad Aguilar, 17501 Collier Circle.
Yes.
Regarding the pesticide ban and the farming that you were mentioning previously, my understanding is that the PFOS come from the fertilizers that are used from wastewater, from wastes.
Runoff?
Sorry?
Runoff?
No, it's the products.
It's sold as a fertilizer, the product of wastewater plants. So the sludge that is
Oh,
The
yeah.
cake.
left,
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha, sorry about that, yes.
Yeah.
The cake.
yeah, that is so like a sort of, it's not compost, but it's so like a fertilizer.
Right.
And it has extremely high levels of PFOS. And that is what is being used by farmers. And from what I've read, it seems to be the cause of the PFOS in the water. So it's not spraying agrochemicals, but actually the use of these fertilizers that come from wastewater byproducts.
Hang on for 1 second, Sarah. So you shook your head.
In Montgomery County, because we used to give
The cake.
slush, the cake from our wastewater treatment plant to Montgomery County farmers, and they would inject it into the ground. Then Montgomery County banned it, we gave it to Frederick County. Frederick County banned it, and now we're spending over $200,000 a year to take it up to Pennsylvania and bury it. So
Okay.
it's not being used.
That
to
was
my
my question.
knowledge, in Montgomery County.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
And,
Could we double check? Because it's just strange that it's coming up in the groundwater, because it's not the kind of products that would be used in lawns, or it's used for fire retardant, so it's not the typical
Well,
product. that-
EPA is doing research on it right now, and looking at different pesticides and herbicides and things, and they put notices out to these companies that they could not allow this in their product anymore.
Okay.
So I just read an article the other day about that. So I think it's prominent in what you're talking about, the composting, leaf grow, I think it was.
But was it, the, Blue Cranes used to make Compro, and now Washington, DC is putting these two huge tunnels, which they're gonna take, because they don't have a separate stormwater management system and a separate sewer system. All that stuff goes into these tunnels, then they take this stuff, and they're going to make two different types of, a similar thing to Compro, where they're going to use, the organic matter and sell it as fertilizer, supposedly.
Right. We can double check it,
Yeah,
Soledad,
that was
but I'm with these guys. I think the last thing I read is that it's banned in Montgomery County. We don't necessarily, we know that ours doesn't stay here, right? So, between those two things, I think that we're going to be okay, but we'll
The
double
source
check
is
it.
another. No, I was just wondering if we could understand the source, because it would be a different focus of the.
We actually have the hydrologist looking at different sources, and it doesn't have a specific fingerprint to point to, a different, it's kind of like all over a broad spectrum of them.
Will you be here next week or in 2 weeks for the discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Soledad.
Anybody? Thank you.
Wanna
Thanks for the testimony. Yeah.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
I second that motion.
Motion to adjourn, second by Ed. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned, 4-0.